Hello, everybody on Women of Purpose. I have a little something I want to share today. I have a study I want to do. I just haven't decided yet. Sorry, I got a text. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do this study. I don't know if I'm going to do it in a couple small videos like I'm about to do, or if I'm going to just do this as kind of like a preview and then do a big one later next week. But regardless, I want to talk about growing pains. I want to talk about the discomfort of growing. But I wanted to get on today and just kind of give a general idea where my feelings are, where my spirit is at this moment. So I just want to jump right in. Okay. So I want to give a scripture, which is Isaiah 54. And I want to start at verses 2 and I think 3. But I'm for sure going to start and focus on verse 2. Enlarge the place of your tents, and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwelling. Do not spare. Lengthen your cords, and strengthen your stakes. For you shall expand to the right and to the left, and your descendants will inherit the nations, and make the desolate cities inhabited. And I'm going to stop there. We know that growth, we all pray for growth and we all want growth. But when you think about it, growth is actually a painful thing. Something that gets very uncomfortable. And that's the whole point of growth. You have to get disturbed with where you're at to go to your next level, your next step. And I was thinking about that today, again, because I was trying to think, what do I want to do for the page? Do I want to make this a series? Do I want to do a couple small introduction videos? But while I was pondering that, I started thinking about the kids. My kids have grown in very rapid rates. I have pretty big kids, and sometimes we would even skip through sizes, especially baby David and James. My boys was both bruisers, and it was not unlikely that when they would start growing that we would go from, let's say, 12 months, and we might skip 18 and 24 and go straight to, or 18 and go straight to 24. Sometimes it'd be because I would want to give them a little extra room. Sometimes because I would make them stay into a certain size to finish out wearing their clothes. So they stayed into maybe a size too small, a little bit longer than necessary. And then when we start skipping sizes, it was more so because they were catching up to where they actually were. And I started thinking about my boys. James was a bruiser himself when he was younger, but the older he's getting, the more lean he's getting. So he's growing very tall and lean. As for David, he is stout. He's very, very thick. He's tall, but he's also thick. And so I just started seeing these images of the boys as we've grown. And they grew so differently. They have, like I said with James, his discomfort doesn't come from the waist. More often than not, it comes from the length. Like he's like, Mom, my pants are too short. He likes his pants to be all the way down. He's like myself. He doesn't like high waters. He likes the pants to be all the way to his ankles. So like when he wears his work boots or his different boots that they kind of tuck in so that the boots don't rub him raw. As for David, he is in so many bigger sizes for his age that the length doesn't bother him, but he gets discomforted at the waist because the waist is too small. And I'll always know something's going on because when he bends over, it looks weird. It's, he'll always grunt. And I'll notice because when he's bending or he's moving a certain way, the waist area is cutting into his gut. So the problem isn't necessarily in length. So even though they are both growing at rapid rates and they're both accelerating to different sizes, they're accelerating and they're growing different. That goes the same for us. I hope that just kind of painted just a silly picture, but that goes for us. We all grow and accelerate in different ways. My growth isn't going to look the same as your growth, and vice versa. my steps in ministry and in growth and in spiritual things is not going to mimic or mirror another woman's or another person's or another ministry. Because see, God is growing me at rates that I'm able to excel in. It's like when we were in grade school or high school or wherever. You got graded per subject. So just because, let's say, I was a whiz in mathematics does not mean that I'd be a whiz in history or in science or language. And so just because I might have something that I'm better at than others doesn't mean that you have to be that good in that same subject. So, but God also does not require you to be on the same schedule as somebody else in those areas. You know, there is tutors, right? So sometimes you find a lack in a certain academic or in a certain thing that maybe your mind just doesn't comprehend like somebody else's or the rest of your peers. Or, you know, I'm using this just so, because I know we've all dealt with schooling, so we all kind of understand this. Sometimes you can rent or pay for a tutor for one certain subject. So I may not need somebody who's more knowledgeable, smarter, better understanding in one subject versus another. It's like all into a whole. So I may not need you for 3 hours every day to teach me everything. Maybe I just need a little extra help in this one area, so I can, you can focus on this one small area that I'm struggling. Well, just before I was getting ready to do this live, I pictured my James running. And this happened it was actually kind of a memory because this happened last year when we were going, I just seen your comment, Kelly, yes, it's the truth. But when this memory come back, he was running and it was hurting him. He kept trying to get somewhere fast, and he was ready and he was willing and he was capable, but he finally came and says, "Mom, my feet hurt." And I said, "What do you mean your feet hurt?" I hadn't realized his foot had grew so quickly because I felt like I had just bought them shoes. He says, "My feet hurt. I just want to go home." We were actually at the park. So I'm thinking, the kid normally got to drag to the car. I realized he was ready for another size again. He was really ready. Everything about him was ready. He was capable. His motor skills, his ability, his comprehension, all of that knew exactly what he wanted to do at that park and how to climb the ladders and how to chase after the kids. But see, he had something on him that was restricting him from being able to fully move to a way that he was able. And the Lord kind of just spoke so clearly to me. He says, "You'll know when you're ready by the fact that the growing has caused pains in your life." And this kind of goes with what I want to do next week too, so I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. But you will know, not just because I'm under attack or I'm in a trial or something, but your spirit will actually begin to have pains within itself, because it's saying that you are not supposed to be in this place no more. You are not supposed to be in this area no more. You're supposed to be above it. You're supposed to be accelerating. You're supposed to be, maybe it's forgiveness. Maybe you're supposed to be being able to forgive somebody quicker. Maybe it's that gospel, learning to close that mouth. Maybe it's in teaching, being going to the next thing, leaving the milk behind and getting into the meat. I don't know. I'm just sharing with you from my heart that when your spirit becomes pained, and when you start realizing you're uncomfortable with where you're at, you're uncomfortable with certain friends in your life, you're uncomfortable with certain acts that you may do, like smoking. Eventually got to a point where I was in misery smoking. I was uncomfortable because God was saying, it's time to lay the cigarettes down. It's time to grow up out of that place. I gave you grace for that season and that addiction and to stay in that place, but at a certain point, God says, now lay it down and come on out. And He gave me the grace to do that thing. So when you're growing, it won't just be in knowledge, and it won't just be in teaching and in the Word of God. It'll also be in things in your life. Maybe it's certain relationships that you're going to have to leave behind. Maybe it's certain people that you hang out with. Maybe it's certain places you go to. Maybe it's Maybe it is in the Word. Maybe God's saying it's time to stop just reading nightly and time to actually start studying, breaking it down, getting more bread, getting into the deeper things. I don't know. But what I do know is pain is not always a bad thing. What is the saying they say, especially in the gym? No pain, no gain. If your body is not in pain while you're working out, it means you're not doing it enough. That means that you're not giving it your all. If you don't begin to get pain in your body, and if the growth is not causing you discomfort, then you're not growing. That means that you're staying stagnant into the place where you're at. That means that you are comfortable in the size that you're wearing, whether it's your shoes or your clothes or whatever it may be. It means that that's where you're meant to be at that time. And there is a time to grow, and then there's a time when you are to enjoy the place that you're at and just take rest and just do the things that you know God has called you to do in your life. But if you begin to feel the pain, it's not punishment. It is not a bad thing. It just means that you're about to grow up out of that place. And I'm going to end with this. And like I said, next week I plan to do something a little more. But when a seed is put in the ground, the seed is a small thing with great potentials to grow into something very large, very big, something fruitful. What the place or the plot that is put in is very vast. That means it has a lot of opportunity. The seed itself is not in pain until the pressure of growth starts to push in on it. If I hold an apple seed or an acorn seed or, oof, it's going to break my walls, or any kind of seed in my hand, that seed is not in pain. It has the potential of growth, and it has the potential of becoming something more, something fruitful. But until it is put into the ground and it's covered over, and the pain begins to come upon that seed, it's never going to get to where it's going. It's never going to grow. It's never going to bud. It's never going to be fruitful. So don't look at pain, especially when God's trying to grow you, as a bad thing. Don't look at conviction, because conviction is growth as well. Don't look at conviction as condemning. And don't say, oh, I'm going to get stuck here in self-condemnation because the conviction is so heavy. The conviction gets heavy because God's saying, lay it down. And He's got to awaken you to something. He's got to awaken you to the sin of it or the dangers of it. That is the point of it. It's not to get you and to lead you into self-condemnation, but it's to awaken you to it and to open your eyes to it. So when you begin to grow, look for the conviction, because the conviction is going to be a huge part of growing pains. Look for the awakenings in the night with stronger desires, new dreams, new visions. And at first they might seem overwhelming, because it's going to be like, how am I ever going to write a book? How am I ever going to get a homeless type of ministry where I can go do this? How can I ever start this up? How can I ever do that? But once the dream comes, the growing comes, and then the actions and the fulfillment of it will come. So I hope this sets a stage for what's to come. Hopefully this week, if not this week, hopefully the next. I'm going to do my best to fit it in the schedule the best I can. But anyway, I hope this minister just spoke to somebody. Don't despise the growing pains. Look for them. Because in doing so, that means that something new is coming to your life. And just as it is spring, and there's things that are becoming in bloom and budding, that just means that things are about to bud and spring up in your life.